Hey guys, Brandon here. And if you're curious about crawfish behavior, kind of how they work, what goes on, or you just want to catch more bass and you want to make sure you're matching your lure color to the crawfish depending on the season, well, this video has it all. So if you want to catch more bass, learn about crawfish, then this is the video for you. Let's get into it. Okay, so understanding the kind of the life cycle of a crawfish is kind of where we want to start here. During the winter months, the cold months, they're pretty much in their holes and holes in the grounds, in their burrows, what do you ever want to call them, under rocks. It's in the springtime around that 55-degree mark is when they come out and they actually start moving around and their spawning cycle begins then. I won't get in their spawning cycle that much. I don't really know the science and details behind it, honestly, but the baby's attached to the mother, and eventually, as they get a little bit big, which isn't much, like that big, they'll release from the mother and they're kind of on their own at that point. So crawfish will actually molt every 3 to 4 weeks. Basically, their shell is, as it gets harder and harder and harder, it will change. They'll break it, release it, and grow a new shell as they grow. That's kind of like how they get bigger in size as they molt. They remove that shell and they grow. If you ever pick up a crawfish and the shell feels real soft, well then that's kind of a newly molted crawfish. If it's real hard, then maybe it's towards the end of that molting cycle and it's getting ready to shed that new layer. That molting doesn't change the color. Once the crawfish color that they take, they'll always have that color. That molting process doesn't change that. All right, so let's get into colors. What really matters when you're talking about crawfish and bass fishing and matching lures. So the first thing is crawfish take on the color of their environment. Basically, why they're different colors is because what they eat, their diet, is changing their colors. The proteins, if you have a grass lake, a dirty lake, a clear lake, it's going to change kind of what the crawfish are in that lake. So a good understanding of where you're going to fish is going to help you before you even get to the lake know the colors that you need to use on that day. All right, so color stage number 1, we're talking early spring. They're coming out of their dens, their habitats, their holes, their burrows, whatever you want to call it. They're going to have that brown and orangey color to them. That's kind of why orange is such a big color in the spring. And because in the early spring, there's no real grass growth or no vegetation yet. It's still cold, 55-degree water. Nothing's really grown yet. They're going to have more of that orangey brown because of the environment. They're filtering that clay and that dirt and everything through their kind of body and taking on that color to kind of blend in with their environment. They haven't started eating plant life yet or really much of anything. So that's kind of the initial state when they come out of the burrow, that brown or orange, or sometimes the green, a green pumpkin will be in there as well. You will note that young crawfish, those crawfish that are under a year, they will have more of a brown and green tint to them. So that's why sometimes you get a variety of people catching fish on different color lures, but most of the adults, probably the more of the population in the lake is going to be that brown and orange rather than that brown and green. Okay, let's talk about dirty lakes. If your lake's dirty, has a stain to it, typically when your lake's dirty, it doesn't have as much vegetation because the sunlight can't penetrate the water to grow the weeds, that aquatic vegetation that's typically in those cleaner lakes. When your lake is dirty, it is deficient in vitamin A. So vitamin A is a vitamin that's in plants, weeds, all that kind of stuff. And if you don't have that, your crawfish are going to tend to be more blue and black. They will have those shades of green pumpkin or green, dark greens in them. Because they're deficient in vitamin A, you're going to get more blues in their pinchers or on their backs, just kind of that blue undertone, but primarily brown, but those blues and greens will be in there as well. Okay, let's talk about a clear lake. You got lake with lots of vegetation, or it's just a clear water, maybe not as much vegetation. Even if your lake doesn't have true aquatic vegetation, the hydrilla, milfoil, all that, it still has weed growth, plant growth up shallow. where those crawfish live to feed off of, and what's making your lake high in vitamin A, which means they're going to have less blue on them. They're going to be traditional, kind of those greens, browns. Even some of them have a little bit of red in them. Maybe they have a little bit of red or orange on their pincher. They're going to have more of those greens and then those browns, those more natural colors. They're either fleeing or they're fighting or they're hiding. So keep that in mind. Kind of what are you imitating there? You know, crawfish don't always have to be, your baits don't always have to be a soft plastic or a jig. You can think about crankbaits. When crawfish swim, they swim backwards. But when they do that, they move pretty quickly. So a crankbait matches a crawfish too. That's why they make orange and browns and greens crankbaits, because of that fleeing motion. You can also wind that right over rocks and bounce it down really fast, and it's like a fleeing crawfish. It triggers reaction. Bass are similar to cats. You bang that bait into something or create some type of change that gets their attention. They're automatically going to bite it, because that's what they do. They don't have hands. They want to use their mouth to figure out what it is to trap it. It's kind of instinct. Sometimes when you're fishing around grass or even rock or wood, you're using more of those, a Texas rig, soft plastic, a crawl type of bait, and you're dropping it down into the weed, to the plant, to the log, and then popping it up. You're flipping, using a flipping technique where it's coming in, you pop it up a couple times, it shoots out of that and then falls back down. Same thing a crawfish does when it's fleeing. It's shooting up out of that cover, that rock, that lay down, getting away, triggering that bass to strike and get it. So keep that in mind too. Depending on your situation, you want to match the color of the lake, obviously, but you also want to match kind of what you're trying to mimic in that area and what's kind of makes sense for that situation. A lot of things can dictate the colors of the crawfish. They may be that brown green in one area of the lake, and then be more of a blue, or just different colors in different parts of the lake. Because if you think about a lake, one end may be real dirty and not have as much plant life, and one end may be real clear and have more plants or weeds in it. So the crawfish are going to change depending on what type of part of the lake you're on. So everything they eat changes the color of their body. So you got to kind of keep that in mind too. That's the best thing I can say is, you know, when you show up to a lake or a pond, pull up some rocks or some just stuff that's on the bank real shallow, and see if you can find a crawdad. The biggest thing is, I love it to do it with my kids, have them find a crawdad. We can kind of take a picture, look at it, and it just kind of goes into your day of fishing. You kind of understand what they look like, and you can match that bait even better. So as always, guys, thanks for watching. I hope this video helped, and I'll catch you on the next one.